Bonsoir, good evening everyone. Donc je vais appeler la réunion à l'ordre. Madame la greffière.
All public meetings of Moncton City Council are simultaneously translated. Hearing assistant devices are available at the entrance of the council chambers. Members of the public have the right to address City Council in the official language of their choice. Meetings are broadcast in both official languages on the city's YouTube channel, accessible via moncton.ca, and will also be aired at 9 p.m. this evening on rogerstv.com. Individuals who have registered with the city clerk's office at least 7 days prior to the meeting agenda deadline will be allocated 5 minutes to deliver their presentations. All other public presenters will be allotted 2 minutes. 1 minute warning will be provided to indicate the time remaining. An important reminder, all presenters, city staff, and council members are expected to conduct themselves respectfully at all times. Disparaging remarks, offensive language, or profane expressions directed towards council staff or members of the public will not be permitted. Any breach of this code of conduct may result in the presenter being asked to leave the council chamber at the discretion of the chair. Toutes les séances publiques du conseil municipal de Moncton sont traduites simultanément. Des appareils d'aide à l'audition sont disponibles à l'entrée de la salle du conseil. Les membres du public ont le droit de s'adresser au conseil municipal dans la langue officielle de leur choix. Les séances sont diffusées en direct dans les 2 langues officielles sur la chaîne YouTube de la ville de Moncton, accessible sur le site moncton.ca, et seront également diffusées à 21h ce soir sur rogerstv.com. Les personnes qui se sont inscrites auprès du bureau de la greffière municipale au moins 7 jours avant la date limite de dépôt de l'ordre du jour de la séance disposeront de 5 minutes pour faire leur présentation. Tout autre intervenant public disposeront de 2 minutes. Un avertissement d'1 minute sera donné pour indiquer le temps restant. Un rappel important, tous les intervenants, le personnel municipal et les membres du conseil municipal sont tenus de se comporter de manière respectueuse en tout temps. Les remarques désobligeantes, le langage offensant ou les expressions grossières à l'égard du conseil municipal, du personnel ou des membres du public ne seront pas tolérées. Toute manquante à ce code de conduite peut entraîner l'expulsion de l'entrevenant de la salle du conseil à la discrétion de la présidente.
Merci, Madame la greffière. Est-ce qu'il y a des changements?
Pas de changement.
À l'ordre du jour.
Non, pas de
Donc,
changement.
could I have a mover and a seconder for the agenda, please? Conseiller Kingston, conseiller Légère. Any questions? No? Donc, we'll do a manual vote. Show of hands. Donc, motion carried. Merci, Madame la greffière.
Next would be conflict of interest, des conflits d'intérêts.
Est-ce qu'il y a des conflits d'intérêts? Je n'en vois pas. Merci.
Next, our public administration, a public and administration presentation des exposés du public et de l'administration. Il n'y a pas de présentation publique ce soir. Administration presentations. The first one up this evening is a presentation by Transaqua Biosolids Management Program. It's an update, and to provide this update is Bruce Tate and Eric Arsenault, if they can come to the podium.
Bonsoir, messieurs. Good evening. Faut ouvrir le micro. Ah, c'est bon.
Ça fait un bout de temps qu'on n'est pas venu ici.
Ah, c'est un plaisir de vous revoir.
Ah, de même, de même. Alors, merci de nous permettre de vous présenter un compte-rendu de Transaqua, de qu'est-ce qu'on a accompli en 2025, quels sont nos objectifs qui s'en viennent dans les années à venir. Alors, moi et Bruce, on va se partager la présentation.
Good evening. It's been a while.
Yeah.
At Transaqua, our mission is to collect wastewater in a reliable, cost-efficient, and environmentally responsible manner. That has been the mission from day one, 35-ish years ago.
Notre vision à Transaqua est d'être un intendant remarquable de l'environnement, soutenant la planification régionale, le développement économique et la qualité de vie des villes de Moncton, Dieppe et Riverview. Alors, le bilan pour l'année 2025 jusqu'à date. Sous le domaine finance et administration, nous avons acquis des nouveaux modules de flux de travail et d'immobilisation. Ça nous permet de rationaliser des processus internes pour une efficacité et une transparence accrue. Ça nous permet d'améliorer le suivi des actifs et la gestion du cycle de vie, ainsi qu'améliorer la précision des données et la capacité de rapport. On a aussi un nouveau logiciel de budgétisation. Ça nous a permis d'améliorer les prévisions et la planification des scénarios. Ça simplifie la préparation et l'approbation des budgets, ainsi que renforcer la surveillance financière et la prise de décision.
In the engineering side of the business in 2025, firstly, we had an energy management information system come online early 2025. This allows real-time monitoring of the energy usage and allows for things like demand shaving and things of that nature. Money saver and good information for just exactly that, for managing energy usage. And along with energy usage, of course, comes cost reduction. The effluent water system was commissioned early 2025. What that does is reuse water from within the facility and within the processes to wash down for other non-potable uses. And what it does is reduce significantly the demand for potable water resources coming into the plant. Wastewater heat recovery project is, just as it sounds, is to recover heat from the wastewater and use that heat as energy in other processes within the plant. Construction of that began in 2025 with final commissioning expected early 2026. It's an innovative approach. It's one that's been used in arena refrigeration and some other types of uses, but here we're using the heat from the wastewater, which of course is the waste product, and this will help overall lower our energy consumption and greenhouse gas emissions.
Et finalement, sous le volet communication, nous avons accepté des nouvelles directives relatives aux normes de marque. Ça nous permet d'actualiser l'identité visuelle et le ton de Transaqua. Et aussi, ça favorise la cohérence de tous les supports et les plateformes publiques. Aussi, nous avons approuvé une stratégie de communication qui ira de 2025 à 2029. C'est une mise à jour qu'on a faite sur notre stratégie. Ça met l'accent sur la transparence, l'engagement communautaire et l'éducation. Et aussi, ça aligne notre communication sur les priorités stratégiques et les objectifs de durabilité.
Key priorities in 2026. Firstly, in 2026, Transaqua continued to advance our work through three core areas of focus: improving system performance, protecting public health and the environment, and increasing public engagement. That has been a cornerstone of our looking forward. 6 key priorities make up these plans for 2026. The first being to replace the main pumps. This will ensure reliability and efficiency by upgrading the main pumps within the plant. These pumps have been on site for 35 years. They are the original hearts of the system, if you will. Because of the excellent preventative maintenance program, we've been able to keep these key pieces of infrastructure well past their life cycle. But there is a plan to replace all of them in 2026 and move forward from there.
Une autre priorité, évidemment, c'est le contrôle des odeurs. Nous avons poursuivi des investissements dans les technologies de gestion des odeurs et les mesures d'atténuation afin de réduire l'impact sur la communauté et de renforcer la confiance de celle-ci sur nos activités. Des exemples, c'est on a augmenté le taux de chaux qui va dans des biosolides. On a acheté des remorques fermées, modernisées pour contrôler les odeurs lors du transport. On maintient toutes les mesures de réduction des odeurs précédentes qu'on a implantées dans les dernières années, telles que de ne pas tourner l'état lorsque le vent souffle vers la communauté, utilisation de bâches Gore et l'augmentation du ratio écorce biosolide. Aussi, sous le volet engagement du public, nous allons développer la sensibilisation et le dialogue avec les résidents afin de renforcer notre image de marque en aidant le public à comprendre qui nous sommes et qu'est-ce que nous faisons, en recueillant des commentaires et en favorisant la transparence. On a une présence plus accrue dans les événements communautaires avec des kiosques d'information. On offre des visites et l'accès à nos facilités. On a des lignes de contact direct avec le personnel de Transaqua pour répondre en temps réel aux problèmes d'odeur. Aussi, on a eu des séances de participation du public pour permettre à la communauté de donner son avis à Transaqua.
As mentioned previously, the wastewater heat recovery system is an advanced system that captures heat from the treated wastewater, will lower our energy use, and obviously support our climate goals. At present, engineering projections show a potential decrease in energy consumption of 26%.
Ensuite, nous avons la détection des contaminants illégaux. Alors, on va renforcer la surveillance afin de détecter et empêcher l'entrée des substances non autorisées dans le bioréacteur. Ceci va le protéger, ainsi que notre équipement et l'environnement. Chaque déversement illégal détruit la biomasse du réacteur et coûte environ 50 000 $ à Transaqua. Alors, on a l'intention de réduire ces coûts-là.
With the effluent water system, we will optimize the reclaimed water network, maximizing the reuse opportunities, obviously, as I mentioned previously, reducing demand on the municipal water supply and providing operational cost savings. Currently, the water bill for Transaqa's last quarter has been reduced from approximately $190,000 to $70,000. This money is reinvested into operations to push forward environmental initiatives.
Un bref survol de la répartition des revenus. Alors, Transaqua va planifier un budget pour 2026 qui va voir nos revenus total à 16 millions de dollars. On a 4 sources de revenus. La plus importante, c'est le taux résidentiel qui figure à, pour le cas de Moncton, 5,1 millions de dollars. On a aussi des sources de fonds, des grosses institutions, des commerces et des industries qui consomment beaucoup d'eau. Ça chiffre à 4,1 millions pour Moncton. On a des revenus pour le transport des vidanges et le compostage qui nous donnent environ 180 000 $. On a aussi 1,5 million de dollars d'intérêts. Comme vous savez, Transaqua n'emprunte pas d'argent. Alors, tous les projets d'immobilisation qu'on fait sont payés avec les argents qu'on a accumulés dans les années. Alors, je vais passer la parole à Bruce.
Thank you. As Mr. Arsenault mentioned, the rate is key. And since 2016, the rate has remained consistent, and that is the budgeted figure again for 2026. So that's 10 years of the rate being consistent. That in itself is good, but it's due to strong financial management, operational efficiencies, and continuing to do good long-term planning. The team have been able to use emerging technologies without passing the added cost onto the ratepayers, as well as very good maintenance and operating system, and keeping the assets in good shape. Affordability matters, and that is the focus.
Alors, merci beaucoup. On est arrivé à la fin de notre présentation. On est ici pour répondre à vos questions si vous en avez.
Thank you so much to both of you. Are there questions from members of council? Donc, Conseiller Butler.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and thanks take it that you guys are here because you're supposed to be reps from the city? Is that what I take? So I got a few questions. First of all, I think one of you is maybe might have just jumped your vision, our vision. It says to be outstanding environmental stewards supporting regional planning, economic development, and quality of life for communities of Moncton, Riverview, and Dieppe. I would say that there's a certain part of the city of Moncton that they wouldn't agree with, that you're looking after their quality of life with the smell, and that's an ongoing thing. Have you ever met, I remember when Bruce, and you guys were going to get appointed. Did you ever meet with the group up there in that area? You know, I think Bruce had even lived up there at one time, so he knew there was a smell for sure. So have you ever met with them?
No, we've never had a formal meeting. We did have a public session a few weeks ago at the Coliseum, at the Legends Lounge, to receive information and feedback from the community regarding the biosolids strategy that we're looking at implementing. It wasn't attended by a lot of people.
So I remember when we spoke on the phone, Eric, you and I, had said that when you get on, that was one of the things that you're going to listen to the complaints and would meet with them. And, there's been a number have gone in, and nobody's met with them yet. We can put out, that there's going to be a meeting here or a meeting there, but I think it's important that when that talk to our office and get the complaints that are coming in. Not so much when we go down to when we're taking it down to the Brown Road, but when is that going to stop and when's it start coming back? It's usually around the 1st of November.
I believe the biosolids will stop at the end of this month. So starting in November until the end of May, the biosolids will be brought to the site in Moncton.
So one of the things that we've talked about at different times in meetings is that we talk about climate change and why we're doing, the federal government puts these guidelines that we have to follow, but they never put any money where their mouth is. They kind of tell us, like, this is the guidelines, you fill it. But one of the things is that we talk about it, but we never look at climate change and the fact that maybe 5-10 years ago, maybe October 1st or November 1st was a good time to start bringing it back. But maybe it's time that we start looking at the climate and saying, hey, listen, maybe it's the end of November, the 1st of December that we start bringing it back. When you start using the Brown Road, the complaints went down. There's no doubt about that. So we can say that when it was coming there full time, that the complaints, the smell was worse. But I'm thinking that why are we not looking at, putting a date on it and saying, well, we can play with that date and maybe it'll be the end of November if the weather stays good. The other thing, maybe you can answer that one first. Were you thinking about changing the date?
I think we will find, and I can have confirmed by our operational staff, but it's not so much a hard and fast date as capacities. So as capacities are reached and biosolids are turned into compost and are going through their process, it can be a matter of room, physical room as well.
Yeah, well, we know about the physical room. So, when we look at it, so for instance, I was thinking the other day when I seen this come up on our agenda, we building a 30-story apartment building here. 30 stories, and I don't know how many, 272 apartments. That's 272 flushes, 272 more, coming out, ones and twos. And where do we put it? I don't see anything in your vision or going forward. We passed a motion way back when, saying, we would like to see it moved or at least, because I still think that we're dealing with rules and regulations that are 30, 40 years old. When you think about, they say no more than 300 meters away from a house. When you think about that, that's like a whole bunch of porta potties sitting in your backyard, right? Really. So what I'm kind of asking is that when you're thinking about the future where does the north end fall into it? I don't see anything in your budget about, even with our recommendation that was unanimous here, build something, you put it inside or move it. You know, you move to the Brown Road, but it's coming back in the wintertime, and there's still smell. Like, we have smells, like, as soon as they start coming back with the full loads, you know, everybody calls it solid waste. Nobody's been back there when the truck dumps. It's not solid. You know, it's not like this big chunk of stuff falls out like a brick, right? So, first of all, do you know the percentage of solid waste that's coming out now and going?
We would have to refer that to
Well, somebody would know.
25%? 25%.
So all coming out of there is 25% that's going to Five Rivers. So 75%?
Sorry, no, sorry.
Well,
That was capture.
The solid in the mixture at 25%.
you have to go to the mic. You have to go to the mic. I can't,
Approximately 50% of the material goes to Brown Road.
okay. So how much goes up to the north end right now?
It would be the other 50%, but I don't have the tonnages
Well,
from an
that's what I'm
operation
kind of asking. Somebody must have how much is coming
Oh, yeah.
out. At one time, it was 50, and then it went up to 75. And I think at the last meeting that I was at when we were up at the old Howard Johnson's, I think there was something that they were looking at, like a 90 or 95% trying to collect the solid waste. So I'm just kind of trying to figure out how much is coming out right now and what we're looking forward to with a building with, you know, just steady building here.
Through your worship to Councillor Butler, the amount of solids that we are removing from the wastewater from the influent is up to 98 to 99%. That's why our effluent water system works so well, is the water is so clean. The percentage of dry solids in the biosolids mixture that's going to the Long Drive and Brown Road is 25%. The other 75% is water. And the volume of biosolids going between Five Rivers and Moncton is approximately 50% each way, because we are delivering them 6 months to each facility. And then last year, the volume was around 22,000 tons. And by 2037, with population growth, we are projecting 37,000 tons, at which time both compost facilities will be at full capacity.
So, okay, so as long as I got you at the mic, Kevin, so when I look forward to your new brand, your updates, 2025 to 2029 communication strategy, so when you're looking at years down the road, a few years down the road, so what are we going to do when we're at capacity and the Brown Road's at capacity? Is there any, where's your plan for that?
Well, that's what the biosolids strategy is about. We are renewing our biosolids management strategy. We just did some public engagement sessions with the 4 communities, and the commission will be provided more information so they can make a decision as to which alternative we will be going with. There's 3 alternatives that are viable right now at this point out of 9 total alternatives. One of them is to continue composting, the other one is lime stabilized biosolids, and the other one is anaerobic digestion. So in 2026, our goal is to start the feasibility studies and preliminary designs for anaerobic digestion and lime-stabilized biosolids that will give us cost estimates to build in the future, because in our industry, you really only have a small window of time. By the time you identify a need, you identify the studies, the preliminary design, detailed design, construction, funding, and then turn the keys on. So 10 years is a good window in our industry, so the commission will have to make a decision on what that biosolids management alternative will be in the next 6 months, so we can give staff direction to begin proceeding on the design and whatever that new alternative may be, or if it's composting, what that may look like.
We back a couple of years ago gave you a couple alternatives also. And are they in your plan at all, or?
As of right now, the financial analysis for those 3 options are being conducted right now to determine through our cash flow what the impact to the rate would be. So the commission is expected to have that information at their November 20th meeting to review, and again, it's part of that whole decision-making process.
Fair enough. One of the other things is that we had a meeting with the Minister of Environment, and he's kind of underneath the understanding that we should be working more on to, I don't want to put too many words into his mouth. It was more, what would be the cost to, and we threw it there too, so to be fair, what would be the cost to fix the Brown Road? When you came here to council last time, was you or one of your staff that said that, there's a number of acres down there that could be purchased around that Brown Road site, or that you had more property that could be utilized. But the problem was when we met at the old Howard Johnson's on Mountain Road is that the road was in terrible shape. Have we ever, or has your group ever done a study to how much it would cost to fix that road?
Yes, the report that CBCL provided that was cost shared by the City of Moncton and Transaqua indicates to pave that road is estimated at $12 million. That would allow us to be able to use that road in the winter months. However, there would be capacity issues at the Brown Road facility at a certain point where that site would have to expand. And in that report, it also cites that there could be major public resistance to expanding that site.
So where the Brown Road is, and forgive me because I've never taken the time to drive down there, but how close are the houses, the closest house to residents? Where would they live?
The closest resident, I believe, is 300 to 400 meters away. The provincial stipulation is that a compost facility has to be located 200 meters away from the nearest home.
I thought it was 300, but if you're saying 2.
That, my understanding is 200.
The minister kept saying 3, but, we still fall into the same thing. It's that these are rules that were set up before we were getting this much solid waste that was going through a plant. Now the amount that was coming, and we've got a place that's, we've tried our best in the north end to try to keep the smell down, but it just can't. It's too close to residents. Now, people can blame us, because we've been blamed for building too close, but I would still think that in this day and age, with the amount that's coming, 300 meters is, or 200 meters is quite a short travel for smell. So I would hope to look forward to seeing the report come back, especially with the costing of our motions that we put forward, to see where it's at. I would like to make sure that with the weather being the way it is, I mean, it's 16, 17 degrees out now, why this would not be going to, still going down there instead of bringing it back up to DeLong Drive. I'd also like to see how many reports do you get regards to smell from the Brown Road, from the residents?
We receive reports on a monthly basis from the Department of Environment for the odors that are filed with them. We haven't had any odor complaints registered with Transaqua directly, so we rely on that Department of Environment odor control log. And I'd say, as an example, which is consistent with most months, last month I believe we had 20 complaints that could be attributed to Transaqua, and 18 complaints are from one person. So when I did an analysis last year, we're looking at over 70% of the complaints are from one person.
Yeah, and I know that one person, and to be fair to him, it is a him, he kind of speaks for the community. I've been to a number of meetings in the neighborhood, and he's kind of the one that talks for them. And I have no problem with him doing that. I think that he kind of gets the raw deal that, he's the only one that smells it. That's not true. Lots of people smell it. But I was asking my question was how many complaints do you get from the Brown Road residents?
To date, we have received no complaints.
Fair. All right, thank you, Richard.
Merci, M. Butler, conseiller Bourgeois.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la maire. Merci, Bruce, Eric. Trois questions peut-être. Je vous laisserai répondre plus tard. Je ne veux pas vous mettre sur la sellette tout de suite, mais j'aimerais d'avoir votre réaction éventuellement, si pas ce soir, le conseil municipal a adopté une résolution pour régler la question des odeurs. C'est pas encore réglé, vous êtes en train d'y travailler, etc. Est-ce que, puis j'ai siégé à la commission Transaqua 10 à 15 ans passés, là. C'était une corporation régionale qui fonctionnait très bien, il y avait une bonne collaboration entre les 3 municipalités, etc. Sauf que on est le gros joueur, on paye 3/4 du budget, 70% du budget. On a seulement encore 2 votes, je pense, sur 6, donc on est minoritaire dans la prise de décision. Partie A, la question d'être minoritaire sur un conseil, là où on est fortement majoritaire dans le paiement de ces choses-là. Vous n'êtes pas la seule, il y en a plusieurs des commissions régionales comme ça. Deuxième, la partie B de mon affirmation, c'est que, est-ce que vous vous sentez appuyé? Est-ce que vous vous sentez dans une mauvaise position de vouloir représenter la ville de Moncton pour défendre la résolution qu'on avait adoptée unanimement, si je me rappelle bien, au Conseil? Est-ce que vous avez l'appui des autres villes? Comment ça se passe, là? Pourquoi que ça n'a pas bougé aussi vite que nous, on s'attendait?
On est bel et bien seulement 2 votes sur un conseil de 6. Lorsqu'on prend nos décisions, on fait des débats sur les différents items qui sont devant la commission. La situation de la motion de l'Hôtel de Ville a quand même pris beaucoup de temps et a été, jusqu'à date, discutée profondément. On a été informé en tant que commissaire que, oui, on est supposé représenter les intérêts de la Ville de Moncton, mais on a aussi une responsabilité fiscale à la Commission. Alors, il faut balancer les décisions qu'on prend avec ces deux volets-là. Il n'y a pas de décision qui a été prise encore au sujet de la motion et des 3 options qui ont été prises. Justement, comme M. Rice l'a mentionné, on est en train de revoir la stratégie pour les biosolides. Comment est-ce qu'on fait pour gérer le résultat du traitement qu'on fait avec les eaux usées? Si on décide comme commission qu'on veut continuer avec le compostage, à ce moment-là, il va falloir qu'on décide qu'est-ce qu'on va faire avec les 3 recommandations ou options qui ont été proposées par la Ville de Moncton. Mais on est aussi en train de regarder à d'autres options qui pourraient nous diriger dans une autre façon de gérer les biosolides. Veut pas, c'est quelque chose qu'on doit considérer, qu'on doit gérer. Alors, ça va être de trouver la façon la plus économique, qui tient compte de l'environnement et des besoins, des coûts de la communauté. Alors,
OK, alors mon message à vous, c'est si vous avez besoin d'un appui plus clair du conseil pour vous aider à convaincre les collègues des 2 autres municipalités que c'est une situation qui est inacceptable. Si ça prend 2-3 ans à régler, on comprend. Là. Mais le sérieux de notre demande, c'est pas juste parce qu'une personne qui se plaint.
Oui.
Parfois, juste une personne qui se plaint, il y a peut-être quand même raison. Là, t'sais. Ma deuxième question, lorsque j'ai siégé à la commission il y a une quinzaine d'années, 13-14 ans, je ne m'en souviens plus, là, grâce au leadership à Ronnie Leblanc, puis je veux le reconnaître, là, il avait déjà mis de l'argent de côté pour investir parce qu'on savait que les règlements fédéraux allaient changer puis mettre en vigueur à telle ou telle chose. Puis on a investi, je ne sais pas combien, c'était 80 millions à l'époque de mémoire, là, ça a peut-être dépassé ça depuis ce temps-là, pour rencontrer les nouvelles normes nationales. Est-ce qu'aujourd'hui, on rencontre encore ces nouvelles normes nationales-là?
Oui.
OK. Est-ce qu'on prévoit à l'horizon que le fédéral va changer les normes? Il n'y a pas de mots d'ordre qui s'en viennent là-dessus.
On n'a reçu aucune information à ce sujet. Alors, je ne peux pas vraiment dire si oui ou non ça va se passer au niveau fédéral, mais en ce qui a trait à ce qu'on fait aujourd'hui, on rencontre toutes les normes nationales.
Je vais finir avec un commentaire qui va paraître un petit peu niaiseux, là, mais c'est pas grave. Vous fournissez un service, nous fournissons les 3 municipalités avec et à travers la commission un service qui est essentiel, mais quasiment invisible. C'est juste quand ça flush puis ça marche pas que les gens vont réaliser comment important que c'est. Le déchet solide, on peut l'accumuler pour une couple de semaines, 3 semaines, ce ne serait pas la fin du monde. Mais si tu n'es pas capable de flusher à chaque jour, ça cause des ennuis. Ça fait, je vous remercie pour le bénévolat que vous consacrez à ce service essentiel-là. Merci. Merci, Madame la maire.
Merci, conseiller Bourgeois. Conseiller Steves.
Thank you. I've got a couple questions, and it's just in regards to Five Rivers. With this being a public council, public session, there may be people watching and whatnot that don't really understand much about the Five Rivers addition, and there wasn't anything in your report. Is there anybody on your team that's just comfortable in giving us a quick summary on how many years that's been being used, and again, the months, just to kind of state why we needed Five Rivers?
Mr. Rice would have that information.
Through your worship, Councillor Steves, back in 2022, the DeLong Drive site was over capacity. The Department of Environment ordered us to remove excess biosolids to another facility. So we tried a private company in Miramichi. It didn't work out just based on the site. We damaged our equipment. The second site, the Department of Environment found a facility for us in Nova Scotia that we could temporarily take the excess biosolids to, and we did that for about 3 or 4 months. And then that site informed us that they couldn't take any more. They were at capacity. So in late 2022, we were able to purchase the privately owned and operated compost facility in Five Rivers, which the Commission approved that purchase. And in 2023, we did site assessments, we did condition assessments on the leachate pond, the asphalt pads. The previous owner had a certain period of time to remove the materials that they had on site, off-site. So 2022 was a time where 2023, sorry, was a time where we were able to clear the site, set the site up the way that we would operate it, and then in 2024, a decision was made to haul biosolids between the beginning of June until the end of November. As a trial period, and that seemed to work very well. I'll go back to 2023. We had so many biosolids on the compost on the curing pad that we were in excess. We couldn't actually take any more compost off the pads to put on the curing pad. It was so full. So we moved everything from the curing pad up to Five Rivers in 2023 to make room to get us through the winter months. So in 2023, we decided the model would be between starting in early June until the end of October. That would create enough site on the DeLong Drive facility to get us through the winter, and the same with Five Rivers. So with our compost, the program that we have right now, the public currently takes approximately 50% of the approved compost, so it's a very successful program. We started our Biosolids for Agriculture program in 2024, and the farmers took everything else from both sites. So we anticipate the same this year. So we don't have leftover approved compost sitting on the sites taking up space. So we expect this year that the farmers and the public will take all the available compost that's been approved. So this year, because the model was successful last year, we're running the same model this year. The times are variable. If the weather is good and we're not going to do any damage to the Brown Road because of wet weather, then we'll continue to move compost up there as long as we can.
Okay, so thank you for that explanation. And in the conversation that we had with the Department of Environment, the Five Rivers location, Browns Road, was certainly part of the conversation. So we're thankful that that has been expanded and that that's happening. But The difference is sometimes we talk about capacity and that it may be at capacity is what I just heard a little bit while ago. And then other times we say that road will get soft in the springtime and whatnot. I just wonder if we could see as a follow-up to this meeting, a plan that you guys have with the Browns Road, with the Five Rivers location, for how much longer we have until it is at capacity. And if there can be an evaluation to what Councillor Butler had said earlier about it being a hard stop. Now, you just said it isn't a hard stop. Sometimes we'll take it until we need to. I'd just like to see a plan that says here's when we stop taking it, why we stop taking it, if it's a date, or if it's due to capacity, or if it's due to the damage in the road. And then, and maybe Deputy CAO could follow up on that. That would be just great for us to receive that. And then also, if it's $12 million to pave that road, if we could just see a quote that you received for that, that would be helpful as well. My second question is just in regards to your PowerPoint here. I have had residents ask, and I'm quite curious, the illegal contaminants detection. Is someone just able to explain that in layman's terms so somebody who's listening would be able to understand what are illegal contaminants and how do you stop that from getting in?
We currently have a bylaw in place that the municipalities have that we provide consultation on and assist with adding new contaminants as they arise. But basically, all of those contaminants are listed in the bylaw. So if, use the example of oil or hydrocarbons, happened a couple of years ago. We had a major, oil ended up in the system. So at the end of the day, we as a wastewater treatment facility in the eyes of the law, once it enters our facility, it belongs to us. So what we do when we notice there's something in the system that's not supposed to be, we'll alert the municipalities to try to go out and find the source. But the problem is when we had oil contamination a couple of years ago, it killed all the biomass in the bioreactor. So our bioreactor wasn't functioning properly and the CBOD levels, the levels of oxygen going out into the river, were severely diminished, which put us in non-conformance, which we had to inform our regulators that we were in non-conformance. And that incident alone cost about $50,000 to resolve on our end. So what we're doing is we're trialing some sensors this year in our primary clarifier. So if it detects high BOD loading or illegal contaminants, it'll close the gate to the bioreactor, so that stuff can't get into the bioreactor. So we're trialing it this year, and we'll trial it again next year, and if it works well, we'll expand that to 3 main pumping stations in the Moncton and Dieppe area, so we can have even earlier detection to be able to alert the municipalities to try to detect the source.
A lot of residents would ask the curious question just about illegal drugs and whatnot that are getting flushed. Is there any way that you are able to detect that sort of thing other than oil?
Yes, we participated in the national COVID detection program, so we were providing samples to Dalhousie University, who was using them to detect levels of COVID. So that was successful. We have been approached and have provided samples for detecting drugs in the wastewater system. I don't know what the results of those are, but we will always provide samples for those kinds of things when requested.
Okay. And finally, I would just say about the one individual that we referenced that makes most of the complaints, I would just say I've been on council for 5 years here now and received complaints. Councillor Butler's been there a lot longer. People are just tired of complaining and going through that form. We had a big push for the form at one point. So just, I hope you guys don't ever think that just because there's one individual that's talking about the smell, that's the only person who smells it. I just want you to know that there are people that smell it and are just so tired they don't bother filling out the form anymore. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Merci, Conseiller Steves. Thank you so much, everyone, for the presentation and for taking the time to answer our questions and concerns. Merci.
Madam Deputy Mayor, if I may, I'm going to leave some cards here, odors let us know. We've got a phone number and an email there. We would rather be proactive than get an email, a spreadsheet 3 weeks later when we can't investigate and determine, is there something we can do different? How did it happen? Was it, we're upgrading some trailers. This way we can be proactive at least, so I will leave those on the table outside if perhaps the city clerk's office could see that they get in your mailboxes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Et une dernière chose pour la communication, c'était notre première présentation ce soir. On a l'intention de venir vous voir au moins 2 fois par année pour maintenir la communication ouverte puis recevoir vos commentaires. Alors, merci beaucoup.
Merci. Thank you so much. Madame la greffière.
Oui, la prochaine présentation, c'est le rapport 2025 du Conseil culturel. And we have Joanne Duguay, Cultural Development Officer, Jeanne-Mance Cormier, and Reem Fayed, co-chairs of the board. Joanne is here to start us off.
Bonsoir, Joanne.
Peux-tu pèse le bouton?
Là, c'est bon. OK. Là, je m'entends. C'est bon. Merci. Merci au Conseil. Thank you, members of council. Different topic. We're going to go at the other end of the spectrum. I had heard a couple of years ago at a conference I attended that culture also because we're talking about infrastructure, we build, but we were talking about culture building infrastructure for the human spirit. Donc, merci donc pour cette opportunité de présenter une mise à jour du plan culturel. So, although this is a City of Moncton plan, it's a document that I personally work with on a daily basis. It's also a community plan. So, this is why throughout the presentation you will see examples of community-led projects along with the city ones. The presentation by the co-chairs of the Cultural Board will focus on the impact on culture and the cultural sector in Moncton, followed by a few updates on recent projects and priorities. Le patrimoine fait partie du plan culturel, mais plus qu'un rapport de Sophie Cormier, qui est ici, a été présenté au Conseil il y a quelques mois. Nous ne l'avons pas inclus dans notre rapport à ce point-ci. And also, as well, community grants will be presented to Council in December. Therefore, data regarding grants will be shared at that time. Voilà. Donc, nous entamons maintenant la dernière année du plan culturel qui a été adopté en 2016. Quand on pense que ça fait presque 10 ans déjà, so it's natural to look back, especially at the 10-year mark, and it struck me how, from my perspective at least, I can say that internally there has been so much progress in integrating culture within projects led by other departments, committees, as well as considerations in the review of policies, just to name a few examples. So, just want to add that note. Dans mon rôle, j'ai la chance de collaborer avec un comité de champions de la culture. Je remercie les membres du Conseil culturel, les noms sont à l'écran, et qui soutiennent et guident l'administration dans les dossiers culturels. Leur enthousiasme et leur dévouement sont grandement appréciés. So the Cultural Board is represented by a group of dedicated community members with expertise in various creative sectors, organizations, and including the participation of 2 council members. J'aimerais aussi remercier des gens qui ont fait partie du Conseil culturel dans la dernière année, qui sont des membres sortants. Fait que je remercie grandement Éric Cormier, Louise Imbeau et Madame Paulette, la mairesse adjointe Paulette Thériault. Thank you. Your support and contribution is much appreciated, and we know that you remain all great ambassadors for our city and sector beyond the terms with their committees. J'inviterai maintenant les coprésidentes du Conseil culturel, Jeanne-Mance Cormier, directrice générale de la bibliothèque à l'Université de Moncton, dont la Bibliothèque Champlain, Bibliothèque de droit Michel Bastarache, Centre d'études acadiennes Anselme Chiasson et Musée acadien de l'Université de Moncton. And also Reem Fayed, who is a founder of the Arab Culture Club, also a wonderful singer in Arabica music, also a poet, among many other hats that she wears. So they will guide you for the rest of the presentation.
Bonsoir, Jeanne Mance et Reem. Really a pleasure to see you both.
Donc, dans la catégorie rayonnement, on a la ville de Moncton est membre municipal de 2 réseaux nationaux, soit les Arts et la Ville et le Creative City Network of Canada. Joanne Duguay, que vous venez juste d'entendre, donc siège au conseil d'administration du Creative City Network depuis 2020 et elle termine justement son mandat de 2 ans en tant que présidente. Ce partenariat avec ces organismes qui gèrent donc les arts et la culture dans diverses municipalités a beaucoup de visibilité pour la ville de Moncton et ça nous permet aussi d'être assez table et d'entendre les problématiques, les défis et aussi d'apporter du rayonnement de diverses façons. Donc, c'est vraiment une des plateformes très importantes pour la municipalité comme telle. Oh. Non. OK, c'est beau.
Thank you. So back to the cultural plan that Joanne was just sharing. The cultural plan identified 4 overarching outcomes, and they're very much interrelated and connected, as you can see. It also emphasizes the evidence how these outcomes are really lead into each other and then how they contribute to the overall well-being of the community. So these outcomes illustrates the importance of creativity, culture, and quality of place in growing local economy. Generally speaking, enhancing the quality of place through diverse cultural offerings works to attract and retain talented people. It supports their sense of belonging, it improves the integration, and eventually it attracts business, investments, and economic growth. So it's kind of a loop. Everything feeds into everything else. One thing else also to mention is that culture is one of the industries where municipalities actually have a very strong contribution, and it could be one of the sectors that the municipalities own as well. So going over these 4 areas of impact, we went through some of the examples of how the city of Moncton has contributed to the different 4 areas of impact. So starting with culture as an economic driver. And according to Statistics Canada culture indicators, in 2023, the culture sector contributed $151.4 million to the Moncton GDP. Representing 1.63% of the city's GDP. This amount obviously shows the great potential that the sector can have moving forward as we try to invest and look into it. And the areas that are covered in this field include creative industries, cultural entrepreneurship, and cultural tourism, which all fall within this category. Speaking only of the cultural GDP and looking at that value, Moncton plays an important part in the in the provincial's cultural GDP. So the 151.4 million represent 22% of the cultural GDP in New Brunswick in general. Of course, the cultural domains are vast. They include heritage and libraries, live performance, visual and applied arts, written and published works, audiovisual, interactive media, sound recording, education and training, governance, funding, and professional support. This also includes advertising, design, architecture, newspapers, and broadcasting. So you can imagine how many individuals work in this field and in this sector. In New Brunswick, there is around 10,239 jobs in this field, and Moncton contributes 1,438 of those. Earlier this year, ArtsLink NB commissioned a report titled A Comprehensive Analysis of NB's Art and Culture Workforce, which stated that cultural workers in New Brunswick account for 2.7% of all of the 423,000 workers in the province. And the city of Moncton's estimated 440 artists represent 1% of the local labor force. in the city, with a median earning of $34,400, which is 21% lower than the median earnings of other local workers in the city, which speaks to why a lot of artists end up having to find other jobs sometimes to make ends meet, and that's why supporting the sector is going to be very important to really strengthen the contribution of this sector.
Donc, on tourne à Moncton. L'industrie du film et de la production télévisuelle est un excellent exemple d'un moteur économique. En 2024-2025, plus de 10 permis de tournage ont été émis pour diverses productions, films, téléséries, documentaires ou encore des vidéos promotionnelles. La Ville de Moncton est fière d'avoir pu soutenir en service toutes ces productions, soit en coordonnant l'accès à divers services et lieux municipaux, tels que des parcs, des sentiers, les édifices. L'Hôtel de Ville a d'ailleurs accueilli quelques productions comme lieu de tournage, dont la série Mont-Rouge, dont on aperçoit quelques photos à l'écran. Et plus récemment, la télésérie fiction intitulée Bédène, qui sera diffusée sur les ondes de Radio-Canada. À elles seules, ces deux productions auront dépensé localement, respectivement, 4 millions et 3,5 millions, à l'intérieur de quelques mois de production. Et ils ont embauché environ 70 comédiens et techniciens, dont la majorité habite ici. Ceci contribue à l'essor de cette industrie importante de notre province et surtout aide à la rétention de la main-d'œuvre locale. L'accès à la culture est un puissant outil de promotion et d'inclusion sociale et d'adoption à une diversité sans cesse croissante. Le dialogue interculturel permet de favoriser une compréhension mutuelle et d'établir des liens entre les cultures, les communautés et les peuples. La culture est un véhicule essentiel au développement des relations avec les communautés autochtones environnantes et contribue à l'accomplissement d'actions du rapport de la Commission de la vérité et de la réconciliation. Par exemple, la tenue d'événements comme la Journée nationale des peuples autochtones et l'installation du drapeau « Chaque enfant compte » sur l'Hôtel de Ville pour le 30 septembre. Ce sont des gestes qui soutiennent ces actions et renforcent cette amitié. En plus de célébrer les cultures acadiennes, anglophones et autochtones, il va sans dire que l'augmentation de la population des nouveaux arrivants apporte une croissance d'organismes interculturels. En 2025, parmi les 40 organismes qui ont reçu du soutien du programme de subvention culturelle, 15 sont des organismes ethnoculturels, contribuant grandement à la diversité. Donc, par exemple, un des subventionnaires, le Club de culture arabe, l'Association brésilienne et l'Association ukrainienne.
So now we come to one of the third impacts we looked at, which is culture being a catalyst for social change. So culture plays a very important role in social inclusion. This works in two ways, by basically providing access to culture and cultural activities for a great number of people in the city and allowing them to experience different forms of art from different backgrounds, and also by connecting these opportunities to actual impacts in other sectors, like in education or in social work or in health. The connection here, as you see from the things I'm going to start to mention, everyone is going to be leading to the next. So there's a lot of interrelation between social change, quality of life, and the diversity that Jean Mans talked about. A good example here is Systema NB, for example, or like the Greater Moncton High School Senior Annual Art Exhibits, workshops by the East Coast Comic Expo. All of these provided the youth opportunities for creative expression and collaboration. And there are other cultural activities supported by the city and done by other ethnocultural groups that also created a lot of opportunities for cross-cultural experiences, leveraging the beauty of arts. When we use the art as like a vehicle to overcome linguistic barriers and some differences in backgrounds, it creates this kind of social cohesion in the community, which is the beauty of culture and art. So we come to the quality of life. Again, this leads very well into this next outcome. So arts and culture sector is widely recognized for its contribution to the quality of life, life satisfaction, and health, and more. Of course, without forgetting that just the joy of enjoying culture and art is by itself important to capture. Communities with vital cultural life usually enjoy a variety of benefits, including stronger civic engagement, improvements in public health, and social stability, which also is linked to economic revitalization. And in some countries, art gallery visits and museum visits are actually prescribed by health professionals sometimes. So we have a lot of things to build on here, and it can enrich our community. So in addition to the City of Moncton's own organization of events and cultural programs, funding and community event support have all provided local not-for-profit organizations with the opportunity to present year-round activities, events, festivals, heritage programs, choirs, exhibits, theater, as well as ethnocultural events. In the recent years, alongside municipal events like Acoustica, many organizations have been encouraged to present programs in the public spaces, providing access to cultural programs. There were theater performances by Hub City Theater, for example, and events like Atlantic Dance Festival, Pop NB, and more recently the film screening series Moncton sous les Étoiles in Victoria Park, which added a lot of vibrancy to the public space. So beautifying public spaces and providing access to art is also achieved with public art. And here I will pass back the mic to Jean Mans to take us more through this as well.
Donc, l'art public, public art, Spirit of Reconciliation. Donc, la sculpture créée par les artistes Brian Francis et Jean Hudson. Le projet et l'œuvre a été initié selon le pourcentage de financement de la politique sur l'art public, et l'œuvre sera installée prochainement à l'extérieur du poste de police. Sur la photo du milieu, on voit la partie principale de l'œuvre, le canot, qui est terminé. La sculpture comprend le canot en métal, en fer et en acier, avec un revêtement en poudre qui sera monté sur 2 poutres d'acier. L'intérieur du canot sera éclairé, ce qui illuminera les découpures en forme d'étoiles et rendra la sculpture visible la nuit. La pièce sera installée dès que l'aménagement extérieur sera terminé, donc bientôt. La murale Moncton-Lafayette de Robert Dadford. Donc, c'est un projet de partenariat avec la ville de Moncton et la ville de Lafayette, donc des villes jumelles. La murale fut dévoilée lors du Congrès mondial acadien en 2019 et fut installée à l'extérieur de la place Rozugo. Dans le but de conserver l'œuvre originale qui commençait à subir des dommages à cause des intempéries, la murale a été enlevée, réparée et ensuite installée en permanence à l'intérieur de Place Rozugo. L'œuvre est maintenant bien à l'abri et on pourra l'admirer un peu plus près. Pour une deuxième année, la Ville a été partenaire avec Downtown Moncton Centre-Ville et la galerie Brights in Brine, dont le programme Accent. Ce projet est considéré comme de l'art public temporaire. Un appel auprès des artistes a eu lieu et 42 œuvres d'artistes amateurs et professionnels ont été sélectionnées pour être reproduites en grand format et installées dans les vides d'édifices vacants. Et elles seront installées jusqu'en octobre 2026, donc pour une période de 12 mois. L'intérêt des artistes à participer et les réactions du public ont été très positives. Et on prévoit aussi un autre appel dans la prochaine année. Puis on voit aussi que les artistes sont très fiers de voir leurs œuvres sur ces fenêtres parce que j'ai vu beaucoup dans les médias sociaux, certains des artistes se photographier devant l'œuvre. Donc tu vois qu'il y a un impact pour eux, mais aussi un impact pour le visiteur ou tout simplement le citoyen qui se promène dans notre belle ville. Créé pour se rapprocher, donc c'est un projet pan-canadien qui est une initiative de l'organisme Franco-Dérol, étalé sur quelques années et en tout 45 villes réparties dans 13 provinces et territoires ont été invités à participer au projet qui permet aux écoles des communautés francophones et anglophones de collaborer pour créer des fresques murales collectives. Donc, afin de promouvoir la coopération entre les deux communautés linguistiques. Cette année, le projet avait lieu dans la région Atlantique. Donc, à Moncton, on en a eu un des projets. Donc, il y a 340 élèves des écoles Edith Cavell et Le Sommet, donc des étudiants de la 3e et 5e année, qui ont participé à la création de la fresque guidée par une équipe d'animateurs et d'artistes. Les élèves ont pu inclure des éléments qui identifiaient bien la ville et l'école, leur école. L'œuvre finale est installée en permanence au centre communautaire Crossman, longeant la piste de marche intérieure. Le projet a été financé en majeure partie par Patrimoine canadien. La contribution de la ville a été d'environ 2 000 $ pour défrayer principalement les coûts matériaux et de l'installation. Priorité pour le Conseil culturel et la ville de Moncton. Bien qu'il y a beaucoup de projets, de dossiers et de projets en vue, le Conseil culturel veut souligner quelques priorités tout en continuant la mise en œuvre du plan actuel. La première étant le renouvellement du plan culturel 2026-2036. Le Conseil culturel procédera à l'élaboration du plan de travail afin de lancer un appel d'offres pour l'embauche d'un ou d'une consultante. Le développement d'un plan pour la consultation publique. En plus des départements de la ville et des organismes et partenaires culturels, nous voulons profiter d'avoir une présence aux événements un peu plus publics durant la saison estivale 2026. On voit l'importance d'aller vraiment capter qu'est-ce que le citoyen aime et voudrait voir dans son plan culturel. Donc, on prévoit faire un peu plus d'activités extérieures durant la saison estivale pour bien capter et d'être présent à divers événements. Ce travail inclura ainsi un rapport de résultats plus détaillé de l'ensemble du plan culturel 2016 à 2026. À la suite, on a aussi eu un dépôt d'une candidature possible pour accueillir le Creative City Summit. Donc, la Ville de Moncton a fait une application officielle et on va bientôt avoir la réponse si ça poursuit. Et c'est ensuite pour d'accueillir le sommet ici à Moncton. Donc, ce serait entre 2027 et 2030. Cette conférence accueille environ 300 délégués municipaux de tout le pays. Cela donnera à Moncton l'occasion de mettre en valeur notre secteur créatif local et de promouvoir ce qui rend notre ville unique et dynamique. Et il est important de continuer d'approfondir les relations et les partenariats avec les communautés autochtones environnantes. Nous considérons qu'il est essentiel que cette action demeure une priorité dans une perspective de co-création et de réconciliation. Les membres du Conseil culturel se joignent à Reem et moi pour dire que nous sommes très fiers et reconnaissants de la passion, du travail accompli et de l'engagement non seulement du Conseil municipal, mais de toute la communauté. L'adoption du plan il y a presque 10 ans et qui continue de nous guider dans le développement du prochain plan culturel. Merci beaucoup. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Jeanne Mance et Reem. Conseiller Bourgeois.
Merci beaucoup, Madame le maire. Merci beaucoup pour votre présentation. J'ai 2 questions. La première, c'est vous avez parlé, vous allez élaborer un nouveau plan 2026-2036. Est-ce que vous avez déjà parlé à l'équipe de planification urbaine qui est en train d'élaborer le plan de l'aménagement de la ville de Moncton 2026-2036 aussi, ça coïnciderait parfaitement. Et si oui, est-ce qu'il y a une possibilité qu'on est capable d'intégrer votre plan culturel avec le plan d'aménagement de la ville?
Oui, on a déjà fait partie des discussions préliminaires avec au niveau des consultations, là, au niveau interne. Puis je pense que c'est justement l'intention de relier tous les différents plans qui peuvent être appuyés, le plan de la ville aussi, là.
Merci. Ma deuxième question, c'est, il y a peut-être 1 an et demi, j'avais suggéré la possibilité que le Cultural Board participe dans la conceptualisation de la rue, ou ruelle, qu'on est en train de concevoir entre Westmoreland et Downing. Et le Cultural Board n'était pas d'accord avec cette idée-là pour essayer de voir s'il y avait une façon d'intégrer des éléments de production de télévision et de film. Vous semblez prioriser ça, mais là, on avait une occasion en or pour essayer de créer des décors qui auraient été un petit peu adaptables autant que possible pour des productions cinématographiques, un petit peu comme Toronto qui prétend être New York. Là, on a Hollywood North avec Toronto, mais Moncton aurait peut-être pu avoir. Alors, pourquoi vous n'avez pas été enthousiasmé par cette idée-là?
Je vais parler. J'ai travaillé pendant 17 ans dans l'industrie de la production. Ça fait que c'est un domaine que je connais assez bien. Au niveau des productions, la façon que ça avait été présenté à ce moment-là, des éléments de décor, la plupart des tournages ont lieu vont sélectionner un lieu d'après l'architecture qui est déjà existante. Et puis, chaque production va avoir une demande de lieu très différent. Donc, d'installer un élément de décor ne sera pas nécessairement utilisé à chaque production non plus. Il y a aussi question d'entrepôt de ces éléments de décor-là. Avec chaque production, on fonctionne un peu différemment avec différents budgets. Ça fait que chaque production pour laquelle on émet un permis de tournage, les lieux sont toujours très, très différents. Il y a beaucoup aussi de tournage dans les lieux privés, que ce soit dans des résidences, dans des édifices, des bureaux, des parcs, les sentiers. Ça fait que ça soit limité à une rue ne serait pas nécessairement utilisé à chaque production non plus.
OK. Alors, qu'est-ce que le Cultural Board fait pour encourager la production cinématographique, télévisuelle à Moncton, si ce n'est pas des choses comme ça?
Avec l'obtention des permis de tournage, on donne accès à des lieux de tournage, tout ce qui est les lieux publics. On offre aussi des soutiens en service, de l'accès à différents, ça peut varier d'une production à l'autre. Justement, là, j'ai une demande avec qui je travaille ils veulent l'accès au Parc du Centenaire, à une section du Parc Centenaire. Celle-là pour la série Bédaine, justement, ils voulaient l'accès le tournage au 5e étage ici qu'on a offert un dimanche avec tout le personnel qui entourait ça. La photo que vous avez vue dans la présentation, ça c'était la série Montrouge qui avait été tournée en partie dans l'édifice ici. C'était dans le département d'ingénierie, s'il y en a peut-être qui l'auront reconnu. Ça fait qu'on essaie d'être le plus, comme on dirait en anglais, film-friendly. Fait que c'est d'offrir ce soutien-là qu'on peut autant que possible pour s'assurer que les gens puissent faire les tournages.
OK, je vais rephraser. Qu'est-ce que vous faites proactivement pour aller chercher des productions? Ou est-ce que, je me trompe peut-être, tout ça, c'est qu'on réagit à quelqu'un qui vient filmer, on va les accommoder, on donne un permis, etc. Mais qu'est-ce qu'on fait pour valoriser Moncton comme scène de tournage potentiel?
Bien, ça dépend toujours des tournages, des scénarios de tournage. Ça, c'est le scénario qui dicte qu'est-ce que le décor ou qu'est-ce que le tournage où le tournage va avoir lieu, et non le contraire. Par contre, on donne un gros coup de main, puis les producteurs, parce que je suis quand même c'est quand même dans mon réseau. Ils savent qu'on est ouvert à accueillir les tournages. Et puis, c'est plutôt rare qu'on n'a jamais refusé de demande de permis de tournage à date. Au niveau du financement, c'est le financement des productions, ça découle surtout du fédéral, du Fonds des médias canadiens, des crédits d'impôt. Il y a un financement de la province aussi, mais c'est pas les municipalités qui financent les tournages de films, autres que des contributions en service puis en soutien.
Donc, on n'a pas l'intention de copier Halifax, par exemple?
Il y a certaines villes qui ont des bureaux de films. Il n'y a pas assez de production dans ce cas-ci, je pense, pour justifier d'avoir une personne à temps plein pour faire. Ouais, ça fonctionne un peu différemment en Nouvelle-Écosse aussi, parce qu'au niveau de la province, c'est beaucoup plus avancé, puis il y a beaucoup plus d'investissement du côté de la province qu'on est ici.
OK, on y reviendra peut-être. Merci beaucoup encore une fois.
Merci, conseiller Bourgeois. Conseiller Kingston.
Merci beaucoup, Madame Mares. Thank you, Reem, Joanne, et Jeanne-Mance. Thank you very much. I was excited when I saw we're hosting a summit 3 years running, but you elaborated, no, somewhere between 27 and 30. Is that, and I'm curious, and whatever it takes, whatever we can do to get that over the top, whether it's Events Moncton, Conseil, is it national, international? What exactly is a Creative City Summit?
It's an annual summit hosted by the Creative City Network of Canada, so it is national. It's 90% of its members are municipalities, and the people who represent the delegates of those cities are mostly people from the events, cultural, some social inclusion, DEI as well. We'll take that. So it's an opportunity to showcase our cities. It travels every year from different municipalities. Was just in Kingston last week or the week before, St. John's, Newfoundland, Vancouver, so it changes. So they do a call out for submissions for a period of 4 years. So we know 4 years ahead of time where the summits will be taking place.
That would be great. Do you like our chances, Joanne, on getting that?
I hope so. I'm going to say yes. Let's be hopeful.
That would
But
be
we
great.
will be, of course, I am working very closely with the events team who are experts at submitting, creating wonderful bid documents. So we actually had a meeting on that today actually. So we're going to put our best, all our
Foot
assets.
forward. Oui.
Yes, exactly.
Whatever we can do to help. Thank you,
Yes.
Joanne. Merci beaucoup on the Creative Summit. Merci beaucoup, Madame Mares. Thank you.
Merci, conseiller Kingston. Merci à vous. Vraiment, votre contribution est inestimable pour notre ville. Donc, thank you so much. And without art, I don't think any one of us would be maybe alive. So, merci. Merci à vous. Madame la greffière.
The next item is planning matters, a question d'urbanisme, and we have one this evening. It's a response of the notice of motion to contact NB 911 regarding the pronunciation of Glendale versus Glendalee. And I see that Paul Edgar, our Senior Development Officer for Subdivision Approvals, is here to take any questions from council.
Bonsoir, Paul.
Bonsoir. Did you want me to give you a brief analysis of what we found out from them? Okay. So good afternoon, Deputy Mayor and members of council. As a follow-up to September 15th, 2025 Public Council meeting, staff consulted with NB 911 to confirm whether the oral pronunciation of Glendale, with 2 syllables, is sufficiently different than that of Glendalee with 3 syllables. And also that does not pose a challenge to emergency services in order to avoid the name change. So the response we received back from them was, no, the oral pronunciation of Glendale with 2 syllables versus that of Glendalee with 3 syllables is not enough of a difference and will pose a challenge to emergency services. They checked us in both English and French pronunciations, however they do that. And as well, NB 911 still advised that renaming one of the streets would significantly enhance the effectiveness of 911 services and improve navigational clarity, ensuring that emergency responders can quickly and accurately locate those in need. Thank you.
Excuse-moi, Paul. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Donc, est-ce qu'on n'a pas de motion ce soir pour ceci?
No, it was a response to the motion
Yes.
to check to see.
I understand. Est-ce qu'il y a des questions, conseiller Bourgeois?
C'est pas par rapport à la résolution qui a déjà été... mais je me demande si, lorsque le Conseil va réviser son arrêté procédural, si on ne devrait pas avoir une clause qui nous guide dans la consultation du public lorsqu'on change un nom de rue. C'est très rare que ça arrive, mais lorsque ça arrive, la plus grosse critique que j'ai reçue, bien méritée, de la part des citoyens de Glendale, c'est essentiellement que on n'a pas consulté la population. Je ne sais pas qu'est-ce qu'on aurait fait. On aurait pu les consulter en sachant, comme qu'on a là, que la décision ne peut pas être changée parce que ça pose un risque de sécurité. Mais quand même, est-ce qu'on devrait, puis c'est peut-être pas juste les changements de nom, il y a peut-être d'autres, on est obligé, lorsque ça arrive du raisonnage puis de la planification urbaine, mais il n'y a rien qui nous oblige de consulter dans d'autres secteurs. Puis j'aimerais que le Conseil réfléchisse à savoir si on devrait consulter, par exemple, lorsqu'on change un nom de rue. Pas juste voici les choix que vous avez pour changer le nom de rue, mais s'il y avait d'autres raisons, avoir une discussion franche et honnête avec les citoyens et les citoyennes pour peut-être avoir des solutions qu'on n'a pas pensées. Merci.
Merci, conseiller Bourgeois. There are no other questions on this, so Madame Lagreffière.
Next are statements by members of council, les exposés des membres du conseil, and I believe that conseiller Richard has one this evening.
Allez-y, conseiller Richard.
Merci, Mme Thériault. J'aimerais te présenter mon résumé des conférences AGA V25 de la FCM et de l'AGA V25 de l'UMNB. I'd like to present summaries of two conferences I attended this year, the 2025 FCM in Ottawa and the 2025 UMNB in St. John. Pour avancer la soirée, je ferai mon rapport de l'AGA du FCM, Fédération canadienne des municipalités, du mois de mai, et l'AGA du UMNB, Union des municipalités de New Brunswick, en anglais. Si quelqu'un a des questions, je serai disponible pour en discuter, soit après la réunion ou plus tard. I had the opportunity to attend both the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM, the AGM in May, and the Union of Municipalities of New Brunswick, UMNB, AGM earlier this month. Here's a short overview of the sessions I attended. If anyone needs more details, feel free to reach out. At the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, AGM, May 30th to June 1st. Media strategy for local leaders. The presenter spoke about being your own newsroom through social media and short videos. She emphasized authenticity, focusing on a few main issues and staying transparent. Be ready for crisis communication and watch how AI and media trends evolve. Efficiency in local government. This shared ways municipalities can save time and money through cooperative purchasing, asset management, and AI tools. For example, the Canoe program can cut RFP times by 80%. Housing and climate partnerships. This focused on aligning housing and climate controls, examples including expanding affordable housing, reducing food waste, and planning for climate resilience. AI in municipal governance. This covered how AI can help with municipal services like chatbots and data tools. Emphasize transparency, staff training, and aligning AI use with environmental goals. At the Union of Municipalities of New Brunswick, AGM, October 3rd to the 5th of this year, Municipal Leadership Insights. Panelists, including the Mayor of Riverview, Andrew LeBlanc, and the UMNB President and Mayor of Grand Bay, Westfield, Brittany Merrifield, discussed balancing roles, dealing with incivility, and managing stress. Great key takeaways: how to set boundaries, encourage respect, and make self-care part of leadership. Rural broadband strategy. Nova Scotia's broadband rollout showed how regional cooperation and private investment can expand service. These are lessons that could apply in New Brunswick. Bail Reform Panel. This talked about improving community safety through better coordination between municipalities, social services, and the justice system. A virtual twin pilot project that showcased Moncton's pilot using virtual twin tech to plan housing and transportation more effectively while tracking biodiversity. Fiscal reform update. The DELG outlined a new funding model for municipalities focusing on fairness, predictability, and infrastructure renewal to close New Brunswick's $2.2 billion infrastructure gap, leading change in uncertain times. I'm almost done. This covered how clear communication and empathy help during change. Leaders should try to explain the why. They should listen and adapt to different personalities. Economic impact of municipalities. This looked at the benefits of sharing 1% of HST revenue with municipalities to boost local economies and reduce pressure on property taxes. Healthcare in New Brunswick, collaborative solutions. We discussed new community care clinics, digital medical records, and how municipalities can support recruitment and retention of healthcare workers. At the end on Sunday, FCM's Tim Tierney called for provinces to work together on housing, infrastructure, and climate-resilient investments with federal backing. Both AGMs were very well attended. Municipalities across Canada know where Moncton is, and they're watching. Whoever the camera is, stay tuned. Merci beaucoup.
Merci, conseiller Richard. Merci d'avoir participé. C'était une excellente rencontre. Donc, il faut participer davantage, encourager aussi les municipalités à y être. Donc, merci. Conseiller Bourgeois.
Merci, Madame la Maire. Tomorrow evening, October 21st, from 6:30 to 8 p.m., I will be hosting a public consultation on a recreational facility in the Salisbury Road area. It will be held at the Journey Church located at 1539 Salisbury Road. The area is one of the city's recreational areas, 5 recreational areas. Yet it is the only one of the 5 where not a single indoor facility is planned over the next decade. This makes no sense. Why establish a specific area for recreational facilities, then neglect it altogether? When the recreational master plan was adopted by council last year, I made a motion to put one recreational facility of some kind in that area, but the majority of council voted it down. Mayor Don Arnold was the most vocal opponent, arguing that there weren't enough people living in the Salisbury Road area to justify such a facility. That was only her judgment call, but it seems to have carried the day. The public consultation to be held tomorrow will see if the good folks of Salisbury Road want an indoor recreational facility, and if so, what activities and spaces they need. I invite the citizens of Salisbury Road and area, especially the seniors and the parents of school-aged children, to attend and share your opinion on a recreational facility in the area. Tomorrow evening from 6:30 to 8 at the Journey Church. Merci, Madame la Maire.
Merci, conseiller Bourgeois. Madame Lagreffière.
The next item is recommendations from the private meeting of Moncton City Council of October 14th. Moncton City Council at its private meeting of October 15th, 2014 of 2025 reports that the agenda for the private meeting of October 14th, 2025 was adopted and recommends the following. That Moncton City Council approve a grant of $188,235 to the Royal Canadian Legion Branch Number 6 to pave their parking lot to be funded from the council contingency account. The background on this is the Legion plays a key role in the community, offering 23.5 hours of senior programming and welcomes approximately 438 seniors weekly. Activities at the Legion include exercise classes designed for various fitness levels, card games including 200, crib, and euchre, I think that's how you say it, and social events to enhance community interaction. Participation at the Legion is open to all seniors without membership requirements. This grant will help pave their parking lot to better accommodate their clientele.
Merci, Madame Lagreffière. Conseiller Bourgeois, did you wish to move the recommendation? No, your light is on. Donc, Conseiller Légère, you wish to move, and Conseiller Butler will second the motion. Donc, are there questions? There are no questions. So we will go to a vote, which is an electronic vote. Oui. Motion carried unanimously. Merci.
The next is, what are we? Reports from administrations, rapport de l'administration. The first up is a stop-up and close portion of Duke Street. And the motion before council this evening is that Moncton City Council proceed with the stop-up and close process of the portion of former Duke Street east of Assumption Boulevard as identified in the attached survey plan of Brandon M. McDonald, NBLS, and that Moncton City Council give first reading to bylaw T221.7, being a bylaw in amendment to the stop-up and close bylaw T221.7, arrêté portant modification d'arrêté concernant la fermeture des routes dans la ville de Moncton, that administration be directed to publish notice of the hearing following the requirements of the stop-up and close bylaw on the City of Moncton's website, and that a public hearing be set for November 17, 2025.
So before I let Mr. Deputy CAO speak, perhaps we can move the motion. So could I have someone, a mover and a seconder for the motion? Conseillère Leblanc and Conseiller Kingston. Donc, Monsieur le Député CAO.
Merci beaucoup. I just wanted to give a brief introduction for this item. It's largely an administrative item. Back in September, Moncton City Council approved the subdivision for this area around the existing RCMP facility, just kind of cleaning up the lot. And as part of that process, we just kind of recognized that there's a small portion of that property that forms the former Duke Street. So essentially, this is just stop up and closing that portion of the old Duke Street, recognizing the current alignment of Assumption Boulevard and going through that process. So, thank you.
Merci. Are there any questions on this? If not, we will go to the vote, which is electronic. Motion carried unanimously. Merci.
The next item is request for proposal TCS 25061, supply and installation outdoor walk-in freezer, Magnetic Hill Zoo. And the motion before council this evening is that Moncton City Council approve the award of tender TSC 25061, supply and installation outdoor walk-in freezer, Magnetic Hill Zoo, to the lowest bidder meeting all terms and conditions and specification to Black & McDonald Limited for the total revised tendered price of $192,997.60, including HST at 15%, and that the budget for the project be set at $181,024, representing the city's total net cost.
Merci, Madame la Greffière. Moved by Conseiller Butler and Conseiller Steve, seconded. Donc, any questions on this, Conseiller Légère?
Thank you. Merci. Just, I guess, maybe to staff, in the analysis, it gives a bit of a background. I wondered why you'd be looking at an exterior freezer, and it says here that due to the fact that the Animal Care Building will be undergoing significant interior renovations in 2026, which will include decommissioning the interior walk-in freezers. During this time, the material stored inside the existing interior walk-in freezer could be stored in a new outdoor walk-in freezer. And without moving forward in that, it could jeopardize some of the projects that are ongoing. Just so that maybe I'm wrong, but I've never heard of or seen many exterior walk-in freezers. So I guess my question would be, once the building is renovated and so on, is this a permanent exterior freezer, or does it get some enclosure? I'm just wondering, and if you don't have the answer today, that's fine. I'm just curious because obviously you get the wear and tear of weather and so on that freezer. So if not today, it can be another time. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I'll try to answer some of it, and I have Bob, our new Director of Facilities behind me, who might be able to provide more details. I've had the opportunity to work closely with the zoo not the summer before, and I remember it was a project they were working on. So the zoo does store various food for the animals, like it could be some meats and things like that. So they've always had some form of freezer, and we call them walk-in. Like if you would see the old freezer, it just be a little building attached to another building where you'd open a door and it just has compressors and it keep things cold. Now this was end of life, and needed to be replaced after some attempts to repair. And so our team and facilities worked with the zoo team to find a solution. Those exterior walk-in freezer are designed as such, so they're made to be outside. There's no concern whatsoever. They have a proper enclosure, shell. It's permanent installation, and it will meet the requirements of the zoo. They had considered various different alternatives, including a refrigerator and a freezer, kind of a two-part. But anyway, after a lot of work with the team, the zoo, the facilities project group assisted them with this solution, which I understand will meet their need on a permanent basis as far as the freezers are concerned. The old freezer, I'm not exactly up to speed on their intent. I think they want to salvage the space possibly for another use, so it might be what is in the CRF. It will be just a different use, a dry use, maybe put some feed or things like that, if I remember correctly, what they were initially intended to do with the space. Does that answer your question, or would you like more details?
Yeah, no, it answers the question. And it was interesting because I had an opportunity to tour the zoo and saw that I saw that facility, so I saw the wear and tear. I was also, though, just as an aside, was very impressed on they now have a dietitian that has a list of different meals depending on the particular animal, and those are frozen in the freezer and so on. It was really quite insightful, as opposed to just thinking that, how do they go about feeding all of these different animals. So no, I think it's a good investment, and glad that it's able to come to fruition. So thank you, merci.
Merci, Conseiller Légère. If there are no other questions, we will go to the vote, which is electronic again. Motion carried unanimously. Merci. Madame Lagreffière.
Next are reading of bylaws, et lecture des arrêtés municipaux, and there is one this evening, and council has given me permission during the recommendation of 10.1, stop up and close portion of former Duke Street. So before you for the first reading is a bylaw and amendment of a bylaw relating to the stop up and closing of highways within the city of Moncton, being bylaw T221.7 Duke Street. It's the first reading. Arrêté portant modification de l'arrêté concernant la fermeture des routes dans la ville de Moncton sur l'arrêté T221.7 rue Duke. C'est la première lecture.
Merci, Madame Lagreffière. Donc, conseiller Richard, c'est votre... Vous avez l'honneur. Oui. C'est bon, merci. So, meeting adjourned. Merci beaucoup.
Merci, thank you.